week in which the Giants are hovering around being a 3.5-point underdog. Looks like good things ahead for Dart.
Yeah, you have to understand that obviously you have to figure out, like, okay, who's playing, who's got a good matchup, who's going to play the whole game, right? So you're sifting through a lot of different scenarios this week than you would normally in putting together the love-hate list. But I believe Jaxson Dart not only is going to play, not only is going to play the whole game, but he's got an unbelievable matchup against the Cowboys, as 12 of the 16 quarterbacks to face the Cowboys this year have scored 18 or more fantasy points. They're giving up the most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks in the NFL. And in fact, the most important part here is they've actually given up 8 rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks, right? That's 2 more than any other team in the NFL. Obviously, we know Jaxson Dart uses his legs, especially when they get in close. Doesn't seem like they love to give Devin Singletary, Tyron Tracy as much work near the goal line as we would like. So, yeah, Jaxson Dart, my number 2 quarterback in Week 18.
I think the Giants could play their way out of the 2 spot in this one.
I have a lot of Cowboys over 7.5 wins, and so they need to win this game to be able to catch that ticket. And yeah, I thought that this would be a bit more of a layup. I thought the Giants would be resting more players. I didn't have to think I'd be only a 3.5-point favorite in this game, needing Dak to get it done. And it is concerning that the Cowboys secondary, Cowboys defense in general, after they had a bit of a bounce when Quinn Williams came back and they were stopping the run, JCM kind of did whatever he wanted against them last time out, and the secondary kind of is just untenable at this point.
That's the thing where you look at it, and why I agree with Matthew. I'd be really high on Dart this week is, he'll be able to throw the ball. He's obviously back to using his legs a little bit, although they want him to be careful there. Wan'Dale Robinson about to hit free agency. So when it comes down to it, it feels like this could be a kind of a big shootout, and the Giants will be, I think, right in this thing the whole time. Trevor Lawrence also on the list at QB3 here, Matthew. He's got the Titans. And when you look at it for this one, there's still something to play for, where you can't say that with every quarterback this week.
No, you certainly can. Obviously, they want to get as high a seed as possible, Jacksonville. And so, and Trevor Lawrence, by the way, it's not like he's a veteran in the sense that he's obviously a veteran and he's played many years in the NFL, but he hasn't played that many games in Liam Cohen's system. So you want to get him as many reps as possible. And so Trevor Lawrence, who's now been a top 10 fantasy quarterback for 6 straight weeks. You think about that first matchup against the Titans back in Week 13, 21.7 fantasy points. He was the 5th best quarterback in fantasy that week. Titans have given up multiple touchdown passes in 8 of their past 10 games. It's a great matchup against a red-hot quarterback. So yeah, the only concern here is, do the Jacksonville Jaguars get up big here, and all of a sudden then he has to take the ease off in the second half? But I'm not really concerned about that because Tennessee has shown some signs of life. I mean, that's the more interesting question to me, Connor. Feels like Cam Ward, I don't know that Cam Ward has been what anyone expected when he was the number 1 overall draft pick, but it feels like he's been better. The young receiving core is coming around a little bit more, and that I think Tennessee Tony Pollard's been strong the last couple of weeks as well. So it feels like the Titans will be productive enough here to keep it interesting so that Trevor Lawrence can do the Trevor Lawrence things that we so love.
Yeah, 8 touchdowns in his last 4 games for Cam Ward, so you're hoping the script doesn't get too out of hand here, Jay.
Yeah, and I think the good thing, too, is that in games that have gotten out of hand, Trevor Lawrence has still been, rolling in the second half. That Jets game was out of hand. He still put up 6 total touchdowns. And I think the thing with Lawrence, too, is that, when other quarterbacks go on heaters, like you think back to the first 9 weeks of the season for Daniel Jones, a lot of the throws Daniel Jones were making were open and a product of the scheme and his weapons. Trevor Lawrence is making, MVP-level throws at the moment. He's absolutely ripping the ball into tight windows. He seems to have total control of this Cohen scheme. The throw that he made to get them into effectively field goal range at the end against the Colts was next level. So, yeah, I think that we've got enough sample now, and Lawrence has done it against at least a couple of decent defenses, particularly the Broncos, where he lit them up, to believe that this improvement is real. The talent has always been there, and it seems like really for the first time in his career, he's been paired with an outlier good offensive mind.
Caleb Williams, our final one here on the love list. He comes in as QB6 against the Lions. Bit of a hot stretch here for Caleb Williams through the air, and he always going to give you a little bit with the rushing as well. And Matthew, this game specifically, the second highest implied total for the Week 18 slate at 50.5 points.
Yeah, we expect a lot of scoring on both sides of the ball. It's a great matchup for Caleb specifically. Since Week 12, Lions have a bottom 3 pass defense, right? They're allowing over 19 fantasy points a game to quarterbacks. And then you think about Caleb Williams, how red hot he has been Bears, I believe, Jay, don't the Bears still have an outside chance at the number 1 seed? Isn't there a scenario where that could happen? They need a lot to happen.
That's done now, but they can lock in the 2 seed. The winner of Seahawks-Niners will be the 1. But yeah, I mean, they want the 2 seed because then you get to definitely avoid the Rams.
Right. Yeah.
And the good thing for Caleb is that this Detroit secondary is just completely decimated. Like just the safety position. There's no Brian Branch, there's no Kirby Joseph. Thomas Harper's just, I think, got his 2nd concussion in a month, so likely going to be down to their 4th and 5th string safeties. They're banged up at corner. They're banged up at linebacker now. Like this is all set up, Connor, to be just a Ben Johnson kind of poetic kind of ending to the season where he destroys the Lions.
Well, that's the funny thing is you have 2 coaches that they're going to play for everything. Yep. Even if the Lions are out of it, I think Dan Campbell against a guy that worked on his staff for that long, there's a lot of pride with them finishing the season strong. And then on the Bears side of it, you mentioned they're playing for the 2 seed. Ben Johnson is a very prideful coach and kind of wants to stick it to everyone.
Also, the Lions beat them by like 30 in the first matchup. That was back in like week 2, but I'm sure that has stuck with Ben Johnson and that he will, show no mercy.
Yeah, so I think I like that. I think Caleb Williams in line for hopefully another big day. He's been on a really, really good stretch here.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.